The pack mechanic in Monster Hunter Wilds kinda sucks. Now, I'm sure I'm not the first person to make a video on this, and frankly, I'm kind of bad at criticizing things I overall like, but it's a small detail in Wilds that has irked me from the beginning. The way the pack mechanic was presented was misleading, and then how it was actually executed feels about as complex as a grilled cheese. Monster Hunter has had monsters that form and hunt in packs for decades, literally since the beginning. We've had examples for years of packs of bird wyverns with an alpha monster leading them, with the mechanics associated with them improving as time went on. You can see the difference between a Velociprey pack and a Jaggy pack, a Macau pack and an Azuchi pack. They've only improved as the series moved forward. Likewise, we also had a similar thing happen with fanged wyverns in Monster Hunter World. Individual Jagras and Gyros and Shamos played off one another and reacted to their alpha monster, if they had one. It served to populate these maps with plenty of individual monsters that felt like they could pose a threat if you let yourself get surrounded. And then along came Monster Hunter Wilds. Now, Wilds does have its classic small monster packs. Talioth can be found in the plains, Blangos and Congas wander the other locales with their alpha floating somewhere nearby, but from the very beginning of the Monster Hunter Wilds marketing cycle, this idea of a brand new dynamic pack system where large monsters would form groups and pose a serious risk to the hunter was front and center. This was different from what we had before. It was specifically groups of large monsters, each in their own right very powerful, and so the hunter would have to really pay attention and make good decisions, otherwise they'd be carded in no time. Yeah, nah, it didn't really pan out that way. Even the first announcement trailer showed the hunter being pursued by a pack of monsters relentlessly. It was marketed as a brand new feature to diversify the gameplay and the way you interacted with these brand new monsters in this brand new world. It was then elaborated on in the subsequent gameplay reveals, and we were shown that those previously mentioned monsters, now given the name Doshagama, would gang up on you with an individual being the alpha of the pack, an especially large monster which was even visually distinct from the others. And then the game came out. And it turns out that Doshagama is the only monster to utilize this mechanic somewhat properly in the entire game. There are exactly 3 monsters that form clear packs in Wilds: the Doshagama, the Hirabami, and the Kutku. Hirabami seems to always be in packs of 3, and apart from the fact that they just stick together, there's no indication that they are doing anything unique or new at all. There is nothing denoting an alpha Hirabami, no visual change to one of them, or specific quest to slay the full pack, and given that Hirabami, in my opinion, is one of the weakest fights in the game, to say it falls flat is an understatement. Kutku, I will admit, does do something a little more interesting with it. They specifically appear in the Scarlet Forest in large flocks during the Plenty, and then break off into pairs to wander the map together, meaning you can have several pairs of them throughout the map at once. It's a neat idea, but again, there's no visual change or alpha designation to any of them. No paired attacks, nothing. It's just 2 Kutkus at once. Some have told me that Balahara counts as well, but I'm more convinced that they just have this limited area to travel as they stay in the desert, and so when there are multiple in the map, they overlap often. And I think Ajarikans sometimes form pairs, but again, it's pretty unclear and inconsequential. And that right there is a great example of it being entirely amorphous as to what a pack even is supposed to be in the context of the game. And so we loop back to Doshagama, because it's the only one that kinda does it right. Kinda being the operative word here. The Alpha Doshagama is a nice touch. Having an individual that is visually distinct from the others is satisfying and successfully adds variety to the experience, but functionally, the Doshagama pack is just a normal Doshagama hunt with more steps. Though it will have pack mates, they are easily dispersed by a dung pod, which, given how abundant resources are in Wilds, are never hard to come by. If you do wish to hunt the offsiders, well, too bad if you want any form of reward, because the game actively tries to dissuade you from doing so by making them impossible to be quest or field operation targets, and there are no quests in-game where you need to take out the entire pack. They very rarely reform as a pack once dispersed as well, which is sort of explained in-game, I guess, by Doshagama not really wanting to be in packs anyway, and only doing so by necessity of the fallow, and it just all in all is half-baked and not how it was marketed. Come to think of it, and this occurred to me while editing, so I might sound a bit different, this indicates by the game's own admission that nothing else aside from Doshagama actually does form a pack, because no other monster has an alpha, and no other monster, pack or otherwise, disallows you from hunting it outside of the story. No matter what you do, Alma will always tell you you do not have guild authorization to hunt the weaker Doshagama. This doesn't happen with Hirabami or Kutku or anything else. So technically, nothing but Doshagama abides by these rules mechanically. So it's actually even more limited than it seems. Oh boy, Doshagama was clearly the frontman for this game, a secondary flagship if you will. It just got so much more attention than most other monsters. It demonstrates every single new mechanic, it can be offset, it can power clash, it forms packs and has an alpha form, it's found in multiple maps with different behaviors in each, it features as the primary focus in the story to demonstrate the weather system. It gets a lot of treatment that just doesn't seem to extend beyond this one monster, but perhaps that's a topic for another day. There are also just so many new mechanics in Wilds, most of which I quite like, but perhaps that's part of the problem as well. Mechanic diversity can be as wide as an ocean, but it'll be about as deep as a puddle if the scope is too big, and I can probably point to shortcomings in most of the new mechanics. Offset attacks are super satisfying, but limited to large weapons only. Power clashes are also very cool, but are limited to blocking weapons and can only occur with a handful of monsters, but the pack mechanic is by far the most egregious. So how do you fix this problem? Well, obviously the main thing is you just make it more common. Try and find that balance. Not every single monster needs to form packs. Not at all. It makes total sense that some of them remain solitary, but do something more with it. There's obviously a difference between what a pack means to Doshagama and what it means to Kutku, so expand on that. A Rathian and Rathlos pair could form a pack and have attack patterns that play off one another. A group of Nerscylla could have an alpha version, a larger female that utilizes the others as well as hatchlings to overwhelm the hunter. Ronpopolo could form packs and increase the size and impact of their gas explosions by combining those attacks. Imagine a group of Ajarakan like throwing each other at you. There is heaps to work with here. Secondly, give us more alpha forms. It is absolutely insane that Doshagama is the only monster in the entire game to have an alpha form. The alpha concept is way cooler than like the tempered monsters in my opinion. Have alpha versions of most monsters that if another of their species comes across them, they are automatically subservient to them or something and will form a pack in real time. I don't know the exact way to make that work, but there's gotta be a way. And thirdly, make the pack mean something. They are currently just a normal hunt, but with the extra requirement of having to dung pod the offsiders first. Make it so it's harder for them to split up. Like, maybe you need to deter the smaller monsters by damaging them first, or the alpha will pursue you more aggressively if you go after its pack mates, or that there's quests in game that require you to take out the entire pack. You can even do something like we had in World with the Wrath and Legiana pairs, with the alpha letting out a huge roar to call the others back to it. Just do something. In my perusing online to find some confirmation bias, I came across this Reddit thread echoing very similar sentiments to my own, even having some of the same ideas, but one I really liked was the idea of Guardians forming packs. A pack consisting of different species specifically in this case makes sense because they are constructs and share the common goal of defending the Wyverian ruins. It's cool to imagine one of each Guardian chasing you down and working together to cover each of their weaknesses and playing off their strengths, rather than just arbitrarily fighting one another all the time, but maybe that's a bit much. They also mention having packs consisting of juveniles and adults, like if Basarius was included in the future to pair with Gravios, and that's a fun idea as well. I really like that a lot. And so we come to the end of my little rant session. Just wanted to get that off my chest. I do like Wilds a lot. I enjoy anything Monster Hunter really. I'm a simple guy to please, but this is something that is so baffling to me, that it was a focus of the marketing to include this mechanic that was ultimately a big old nothing burger. They can do so much better than this, and I sincerely hope they do in the future. As for me, that'll do it for now. Like this video, subscribe to the channel if you're so inclined, you know, all that sweet algorithm boosting stuff, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. See you later.